Hi everyone and welcome to another pick a card reading. Today's subject isn't exactly what I intended because when I started the reading I wanted to take a look at our present situation and how it's going to evolve from here in the close future, but instead I felt a very strong intuitive impulse to focus on another subject. Specifically, what kind of misaligned belief or just any kind of belief that is blocking your life, the flow of the energies in your life right now, which means that one way or another you are releasing or you're guided to release that. And also, after receiving this intuitive hint of this subject, I thought to myself, well, why would the universe inspire me with this? And then immediately I remembered, well, first of all, Jupiter is retrograde in the first degree of Pisces. And Jupiter also has some dissolving qualities to it, if you know what I mean. Which means it's really, really good to release a very highly concentrated psychological, emotional, and even spiritual energy for all of us. And at the same time, 2021 has two eclipses in Sagittarius. We had a lunar eclipse, and then we're going to have a solar eclipse. And Sagittarius is also part of the sky, which has much to do with belief. It is the daytime ruling sign of Jupiter. So basically, it's belief, it is worldview, it is the life philosophy, higher thinking, even religion and dogma, our subjective inner truth, basically. So all of this is susceptible to a massive transformation and change due to the eclipses, and at the same time, Sagittarius holding the south node, so whatever we need to release, our karmic excrement, so to speak, and we have to be really mutable, adaptable, not rigid and fixed in order to benefit from this energy, just like the sign of Sagittarius, we need to embody it. So perhaps this is the divine logic of why this subject was inspired. And also, before I begin the interpretation, I would just like to say that I'm still not very okay, so this is not going to be a very professional reading. Yet I have decided to keep on providing for as long as I can. If my situation gets worse, then at least I know I'll be going out with dignity, doing everything I can until the last minute. Or if I miraculously find a job, which means I won't have time for my channel, well, at least I held out as long as I possibly could. So I'm really, really sorry for the quality and the lack of professionalism. So with this being said, the instructions are simple as always. Just take a look at the three piles of cards for a couple of seconds or as long as you need to. Then choose the one which sparks up your intuitive senses the most. And of course, jump straight to the interpretations. The timestamps can be found in the comments below and also in the description of the video. Thank you so much for listening and enjoy. Hello everyone who has chosen the first pile. Your cards are the Two of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune reversed, the Nine of Swords, and the Eight of Cups. Now for you guys, these cards depict that this blockage that might be influencing your life right now is not really a fresh and new energy, but it's something that perhaps was with you, shadowed you, was lurking always in the background of your unconscious, if this makes sense, most of your life. And also, this might not be a classic case of belief, so to speak, because this wasn't basically passed on to you by anyone. It was more like something that you have picked up by living life, experiencing life. And since you had a very negative or a very distorted experience well, of course, that leaves imprints, that leaves scars, that leaves certain kind of blockages, an inner dichotomy, most of all, because when it comes to just the belief itself, you're actually a kind of person who believes the contrary of this pattern playing out in your unconscious. So this makes your situation a little bit more painful or more severe, because your soul, who it is that you are without the conditioning, without the human shell, is actually the opposite of what is happening in your life. And that might mean that it's extra difficult for you to process. Now, this misaligned belief or this psychological pattern has a lot to do with love and partnership, both from a romantic perspective, but also, any kind of partnership, because it has repercussions in more than one area of your life. And it all began, of course, in your childhood, when you witnessed a marriage playing or a partnership of any kind playing out. This might be your parents, your own family, whose relationship, it might not have been as loving, as emotionally fulfilling, as deeply nurturing and supportive as any family should be. And this is where it kind of broke your heart, if this makes sense, one way or another, because you didn't see the love, the emotional support, the unconditionality in your family. You might have seen just that they're like allies, like partners, like I help you and you help me in return. Or life was very hard for your parents, so they couldn't even basically act like a typical family. And of course, for some out there, this was quite savage, this was very disharmonious. But regardless of how this played out in the past, it left a very strong imprint that in your mind. So this is a mental imprint, not necessarily emotional. Well, basically, this is normality. This is how a relationship should look like. This is what partnership and marriage is all about. Mutual help and support, but not necessarily emotionally. The emotional part is the last on the priority list. And as I said earlier, your core belief, what your soul came here with, has the opposite truth, because your soul is quite romantic, quite idealistic. It truly believes in love. It truly believes in the power of emotions, the nurture, the miraculous nature of love. So these two didn't really go together. They never ever became good bedfellows. Inside of you, mentally and also psychologically, you could not obtain a certain harmony of these two energies, that which you observed. So basically it is a rather empirical energy, so you can't even blame yourself that this became imprinted into your mind, because this is basically like lived observation, so you cannot fault yourself in any shape, way or form. But at the same time, if what your soul came here with is the total opposite of this, where, love and emotions and support and emotional nurture, solidarity and acceptance. So what love is truly about, if you believe in all of that strongly, passionately, that is basically who it is that you are, well, you can imagine that this will lead to a lot of, karmic imbalances and unpleasantries, where your inner reality can never ever be reflected outside, because it cannot pass the mental stage. But anyway, this conflict of these two energies, as in who it is that you are and what beliefs do you hold inside your soul and what you have learned as experiencing everything in this life. Now, this battle of these energies played out in different ways in the lives of You guys who have chosen the first pile. So for some people, all of this crystallized as a marriage or a very important love story or partnership in your life story, which started out almost like everything that you truly believed in as a soul. So you truly had the intention to make it harmonious, supportive. You gave everything that you were. But of course, it played out in a very hurtful way, where, it doesn't matter exactly why, but you got hurt, you got broken. This is where the power of your love was not enough to save this relationship. And I do see that you can't really blame the partner either. And because there's no one to blame, you can't blame yourself, you can't blame your partner, you can't really blame anything or anyone. This left a very strong imprint inside of you. You kind of feel the Wheel of Fortune reversed, unfortunate, or a person with a lot of karmic obstacles and blockages in relationships and partnerships. It kind of truly closed your heart. And for other people who might not have had this energy play out in their partnerships as romantic, as love, marriage, whatever, this kind of resulted in an invisible, latent social anxiety that always plays out inside of you. This is where, as a soul, you might have absolutely no problem with people, with anyone or anything. You're very loving, tolerant, you accept, you find it so easy to get along, to forgive, to do everything that a loving person does. But deep inside of you, there is a very strong fear of rejection or fear of being used, fear of being misunderstood. So you are never, ever, ever open fully to who it is that you truly are, to maybe anyone in your life. No one really knows you, not even your closest people. And regardless of what your situation is, if it was a failed partnership that caused the biggest issues, or if it's this anxiety, this fear, this unconscious mistrust and instinct to just hide within yourself, well, it is kind of blocking so very many areas of your life. And some of these blockages are kind of invisible, because you might not really make the correlation that is why other areas of life which might have nothing to do with love and romance and partnerships and other people are very severely blocked up. For example, for some people, they might not be able to get a job, an income, a livelihood, a good career, or any kind of professional success, despite the fact that they're like really, really good. They're the best of the very, very best that their local community or even their whole country has. But because there is this unconscious energy of rejection and fear and just keeping to yourself, it just blocks the energy. It just doesn't come together, no matter how hard you try. And when you try, you know that you are so very good, you're experienced, you're skilled, you're talented, you're very serious, you're very reliable, regardless of what this is. You just know that reality and logic and the rational way of things should make you at least, decent. But reality just reflects a total blockage, like a huge concrete wall that no one can climb over. So it just, the connections don't come together. You're not invited for that interview, or sometimes you just cannot go because you have this blockage inside of you. So basically, this is why the Wheel of Fortune is reversed. The good fortune in even that area of life which might have nothing to do with this is just not coming together. But there is a very good news, because this Eight of Cups is the energy of abandonment, and the Eight of Cups is the symbol of Pisces, which represents a really powerful unconscious purge. Exactly as I said at the beginning, Jupiter in Pisces dissolves it. So right now, in the present moment, you might be experiencing a lot of moments of reenactment, when whatever happened in the distant past just resurfaces. You recall it, you remember it, sometimes you even relive it. It's that deep. For other people, this manifests in a very concrete way, where it is not just the memory returning, but situations in life are exactly the same as they were back then in the distant past. For other people still, this blockage actually manifests physically, in the sense that you are becoming one way or another very popular, very solicited by other people, yet your reaction is the opposite: to block yourself, stop this, cut people off from being able to contact you, etc. Because deep inside of you, you kind of feel that they don't know you, so they don't know who they're contacting, who they're inviting, who they are wanting to be friends with, or who they're admiring, who they're loving. And even though this Eight of Cups energy is not very easy, because it is like a permanent sensation of being so very wishy-washy, powerless, you don't have physical energy, there is a strong fatigue inside of you, where all you can wish for in the heart of your hearts, to be at peace, to have some kind of harmony and serenity in your life, with yourself mostly. And where all of this is guiding you, well, it's very simple. As these memories and these patterns are being evoked, so you're invited to relive them. For some people, it can actually be a dream energy, where you just dream about it, dream this. For others, you dream with loved ones who are no longer with you, family members who passed on. For others, pets who passed on. So, people from your past who had a massive impact on you, quite a positive one. So this symbolizes that your unconscious mind is evoking it and letting it go, dissolving the power that these memories and imprints have on you, all for the sake of you consciously being able to see crystal clearly the dichotomy inside of you, the fact that on a soul level you believe so much in love, in the power of love, and as I said, not necessarily in a romantic way, but just generally that love is an energy which does a lot of good, which nurtures, heals, and makes things happen. And of course, with the mental pattern that why was not love kind to you ever? And when you confront this consciously, you basically alchemize the two into one, where the core belief, your soul's belief about love and the power of love stays. And the mental patterns that basically you picked up through living and experiencing life, well, they also stay, but they are turned into wisdom and not fear. Not that very strong, dark energy or motor drive inside of you, which basically causes so very many areas of your life to be blocked. When it turns into wisdom, you have control over it. It will just be an intuitive, or better said, instinctual nudge, basically. When of course the fear kicks in, but when it does, you can decide what to do with it. Is your fear founded, in the sense that, is it truly wise for you to withdraw your emotional energy, yourself, from the situation, especially when a new partnership of any kind, a friendship, acquaintance, or whatever is being formed, because very many times there is a lot of wisdom in it. When a person can truly not be able to understand you, even perceive you the way you are, not because they have any fault or anything like that, but for the simple fact that you're so very different, of course it is wise not to give yourself into that relationship. But there are moments when someone is genuinely honest and the same fear resurfaces, and that moment when you actually see that there could be something truly positive in this connection, you can simply choose to ignore the fear or say no, or have a moment of bravery and just say, I'm gonna try this regardless of what my instincts tell me, because I see something really positive, or something about this person makes me also believe that something good can be born out of this, like a beautiful friendship, or just having a really good acquaintance somewhere, or allowing just an innocent person to be your friend even if you're not very compatible. Sometimes there is no harm in it, no wrong in it. And ultimately the big picture, in the future, maybe even in the close future, you could be attracting someone very special in your life, where it will be exactly your decision to give that person a chance, which will open up a door to something really good and positive, something that you truly desire. That is going to be the moment when the wheel of fortune is upright, because it's not necessarily, the lack of good fortune or karma or fate or whatever, which is making things rather unfortunate for you, but it's simply your protective powers, your protective energies, triggered by that strong, invisible, unconscious fear, which kind of rejects everything fresh and new that comes in your life. So with this misaligned belief, if we can call it like that, alchemized, you will have moments when you will decide to allow certain people to be part of your life or to connect with you in a very conscious way. Because as I said, this is an unconscious energy, so many times you don't even know that you're doing this. So when you allow it, one of those people can be your future employer, a colleague, someone who connects you to your future job, if that is the area of your life which is most affected by this blockage. But of course it can be someone who truly, genuinely wishes to be a very loving and fair partner to you, so why not? And if you already have a relationship in your life, well, you can imagine that when that misaligned belief is being alchemized, your relationship will take an almost miraculous turn where, the love between you two becomes very, very strong. So regardless of how these blockages are playing out in your life, what is clear that once it gets alchemized, and don't get me wrong, this is a very slow and painful process. This might have been going on in the past 8 years of your lives, and you might not have had any clue. And yes, that's how long it takes, especially when you don't have someone to help you with this. You might be a very independent person, so perhaps seeking help from a therapist, counselor, psychologist, alternative healer, astrologer, whatever, the help was not there. So the universe had to do it with you. And if even a normal therapy with a lot of help takes years, well, you can imagine that a purely spiritual kind of help takes a lot of time. And this is why it lasted for so long. But you're very close to regaining this power to choose when to shut off that fear. And basically that is all you need, and the wheel of fortune will turn and things will finally starting to happen in your life. Well, this concludes your reading. Thank you so much for listening. wish everyone a blessed weekend. Hello everyone who has chosen the second pile. Your cards are the Star, the Knight of Swords reversed, the Knight of Cups upright, and the Hangman. Now this is a really special situation because this is not the typical misaligned belief. This isn't even the typical unconscious pattern which blocks us, etc. This is actually a very elevated energy which is closely related to a very strong and deep and meaningful spiritual transformation that has taken place in your life. And perhaps it wasn't so long ago. Maybe this spiritual transformation started happening in 2017, 2018. And of course, it's still an ongoing process. And I also see this had such a really beautiful, almost miraculous, almost, I don't even know how to explain this, like a truly magical beginning where there was a period when all of this started, when you felt like you're living in a dream, you're in constant bliss, like you are truly connected to everything, where your mind, your heart, the entirety of your being is just connected to the universe and nature, to the stars, to basically the flow of everything. And this very blissful state was very special to you because very many things of so many different nature, like material, spiritual, emotional, romantic, everything which you can think of, like events happened in your life which seemed to you so very miraculous, coincidences, synchronicities, almost like telepathic moments when either someone gets your thoughts or you get someone else's thoughts. Needless to say that the empathy was like on full swing. And you kind of learned so much from those experiences. And at the same time, you really started taking your spiritual journey very seriously. And you have made a lot of sacrifices, may that be time, energy, effort, work, even material resources, so that you can live your truth. And it was so very intense that at that moment you were almost like 1,000,000% certain that this is leading you to a kind of life which was beyond your imagining. But now when you take a look back, that wasn't exactly how things played out, because the miraculous factor was with you all along, no problems with that. But it was almost like a trail of breadcrumbs where the big prize always eluded you until you reached a milestone, so to speak, when you said, well, you know what? I'm not interested either in a big prize, neither in a trail of breadcrumbs. I just want to live my life in my own terms and just experience the magic of my own soul, of my own life. I don't need to be connected to anything or anyone. I am more than okay the way I am, who I am, how my life is, and what I have to give and offer in the present moment. Well, that's that. And while all of this is of course absolutely fine, there is nothing wrong with this, starting from that moment when you made that decision, your life kind of had a blockage, the hangman. Almost like if immediately a cocoon was woven around you, which blocked absolutely everything and anything. And even though, you have yourself, so you have everything that's absolutely true and quite wonderful, yet still, nothing really is happening, so you might be asking yourself, where is everything leading you? What the future actually holds for you? Because you no longer see or feel anything other than, confusion, chaos, the mysterious, the unknown. So you might not really be able to understand what this blockage actually is, where it came from, and why did things turn out this way in your life. And these cards might reflect what exactly is truly going on with your situation. It might be the answer to your question. Well, first of all, your spiritual evolution, that massive breakthrough or inner awakening, call it whatever you want, which changed your life, well, it basically really empowered every single aspect of your being, the mental sphere and emotional sphere, and the unconscious sphere as well. And because the mental sphere was basically connected to the divine intelligence, you really started learning about the universe, about quantum physics, how everything functions. And this also represents a very strong scientific research, as in pure knowledge, pure empirical, rational and logical understanding. And of course everything makes sense with the logic and the really powerful intellectual energy that you possess from birth. Of course everything made sense to you. You came to understand so very much. And you might have, for example, a really strong air element in your birth chart, a Gemini, Aquarius, Libra. Either your Mercury is there or your Uranus or something, a very powerful planet is there, because that is your strong point. Your brain is almost like a quantum computer. If anyone can process, investigate, understand, well, that is definitely you. But this is where the problem is, that all of this might have taken place way too intensely, quickly, and excessively. So you basically overloaded your mind a little bit. But this isn't the real problem, because that can be solved in so very many ways. Sometimes the body, the being, just automatically solves this through a minor illness or whatever, but that is not really the problem. The problem is that the intellectual sphere became so very dominant that it kind of eclipsed all of the other aspects of your being. And even though this is not necessarily, let's say, bad, but for you, who it is that you are and what you embody from birth, this is not natural, this is not healthy, this is really not the right balance for you. For other people it can of course work like a charm, but not for you. And this is ironic because yes, absolutely, this is your potential, this is your strong point, but when it becomes very excessive, it shuts you off. Your mental and intellectual sphere is one of your most powerful tools, but it is a tool. It isn't really, believe it or not, it is not the core of your being. It is not your distinctive organ, if understand me symbolically, which you use to create or which you use to manifest yourself in this world or any other plane. That is just a tool that you have. The very core of your being is actually that Knight of Cups, the emotional sphere. The emotional sphere in the sense of creative energy. What you feel, you create through belief. And basically this is how all of your lifetimes, all of your incarnations, including the present one, that is how you always operated. That is who you always were. That is how you used your magic, your power, your manifestation. And right now you find yourself not being able to use your own specific alchemy because you basically know, understand, or logically, rationally, and can process mentally way too much. It is actually your knowledge, your research, the empirical element to your intellect that is blocking you. This is where, there is the saying, be careful what you wish for, even when you wish for knowledge. Because every single being has a limit where more knowledge than the person's limit is not gonna do absolutely any good. There are so very many things in life, in the universe, in existence, which we should really not be aware of. And I do realize that right now I'm promoting ignorance and the benefits of ignorance, but this isn't like full ignorance. This is just knowing where our limits lie and what is not healthy for who it is that we are. You do have the potential to go as far as you'd like intellectually, to know the whole universe if you want, but that is not part of who you are. That is not part of what you love and what you need in your life, in any existence. That is just the tool and the potential it gives you, but that doesn't mean you absolutely imperatively have to use the potential to the highest. So what these cards actually tell you, if you want to break out of your cocoon, if you want this hangman state to be over, all you have to do is basically go back to believing and knowing nothing. Believing in everything and knowing nothing at all. That is basically the childlike power, the purity, the innocence, which actually creates stuff in life and in destiny. No being can change its destiny, the course of life. No one can manifest things which are not within logic, so to speak, without embodying the innocence of a child, because only a child can have a belief so very strong and knowledge so little that it can even make the impossible possible. So if you wanna end this hangman state right now, all you need to do is somehow alchemically transfer that energy from your intellectual sphere into your emotional sphere and just believe your future, the change or whatever you need to manifest into existence innocently, purely, without rationalizing it and without letting your knowledge, your empirical knowledge and your connection to the divine mind get in your way, because that is what's getting in your way, knowing too much. Like, let me just give you an example. Knowledge that everything in existence and everything in our world is merely an illusion. Well, that has roots in quantum physics. It makes a lot of sense, even scientifically speaking. And needless to say that the ancient wisdom always promoted this principle, the Maya, of course, the big illusion. But if you know all of the small details, how it functions, what it means from a scientific perspective, the more your mind has a grip on this theme, this subject, and this truth ultimately, the more dominant it becomes in your life. And immediately the sheer knowledge blocks you in every shape or form. So basically all you need to do to alchemize this is to just leave the numbers, the statistics, the empirical data behind the quantum physics part, and just focus on the belief that you're also part of the divine, so your own illusion can rewrite, or better said, override the collective illusion, so why can't you have what you desire? Everything is an illusion, so it's absolutely okay. So work with this belief, make it your own, feel it through as strongly, as intensely as you can, and very quickly you will have what you need, what you desire, what you wish for. And all of this might be a little bit invisible to you because your mental sphere is so very strong and dominant that it just combats, how should I say, counteracts every form of belief that you try to basically embody. When you try to believe in something, when your logic goes against it, and I repeat, this isn't human logic, this is actually divine logic, you're that powerful, yet still logic is logic. Logic is, let's say, Saturnian. It has to serve discipline, it has to serve everything respecting rules and regulations, because that is how the universe and reality functions. So that will never ever ever allow you to do something, create something, manifest something which is contrary to the ultimate principle of balance. Yet the chaos of believing that which is logical and rational only to your soul can actually have that power. And even if the divine intelligence has to protect the divine logic and patterns, at the same time the inner God also has to protect your own specific patterns, and that is always more important and focused on rather than the whole of the system, because that promotes evolution and that gives shape to the soul who you are. So instead of using your spirituality, your power, your distinctiveness, your gifts to transforming yourself into a walking, talking, spiritual encyclopedia and fountain of knowledge, just use it to become pure, innocent belief itself, the embodiment of it, and you can expect that state of bliss where you are what you believe you are to return your life and truly give you what you desire. So this concludes your reading. Thank you so much for listening. Wish everyone a blessed and magical weekend. Hello everyone who has chosen the third pile. Your cards are the 3 of Coins reversed, the 5 of Wands, and the Knight of Swords reversed. And the resolution is the 9 of Cups. Now for you guys, this situation is a little bit difficult because I do believe that you have already released the misaligned belief. But the problem is that, this is the kind of situation before it gets better or significantly better, it gets worse. And when I say worse, it is like really bad. And I'm not 100% sure if you are already over the really, really bad part and you're just trying to go with the flow or recuperate or find solutions, be very practical, be very resourceful right now. While some might actually be in the worst part as we speak. But either way, right now, regardless of what your situation is, it might be really, really difficult and even confusing because, as I said, you already released a misaligned belief, so now you don't know if you did the right thing, spiritually speaking, or the wrong thing, because this has no explanation for you. This misaligned belief has a lot to do either with career, profession, your life path, so to speak, regardless of what that is, and regardless if it has anything to do with material resources or not. But I do see the fact that not only are you a really, really good professional, either you have studies or basically you're very skilled and resourceful, so you're a very, very valuable person regardless of what it is that you do for your life path. May that be like a job, a career, a profession, or basically maybe just a hobby or a personal goal that you want to accomplish. Regardless of what it is, you're not just very good and talented and learned and skilled and experienced, but your ethic, your morality, the kind of person that you are is also really, really complementary of that, because you're very diligent, you're very caring, kind, understanding, fairness, equality is very, very important to you. So basically, actually, you're the most ideal person. You are extremely valuable, not just necessarily professionally or because of your studies or what you sacrifice to become who you are, but also because of your basic human configuration. Your personality, your morality, your emotional distinctiveness. You're a very positive, supportive, team player kind of person. Your work ethic is excellent. You love to share. You're very responsible. You have diligence. You have a sense of duty. You can also be quite parental to people like colleagues or customers, or whatever your specific is, to young people or those who don't have experience or those who are weaker. And first of all, this is where it took you a lot of time to see yourself in this manner, to behold the truth about yourself. Because not always did you think like this about yourself. Many times, especially when you were younger or when you had troubles in your life, you thought maybe that you weren't that good as others, you weren't as responsible, you weren't as hardworking, you weren't as, tough, a good manager of your time and resources, etc. So though all of those were smaller misaligned beliefs that you confronted and resolved as you went through life, and ultimately you started seeing yourself as who it is that you truly are, your true worth, your true value. And even though this is something truly wonderful, this is truly a divine blessing where the universe just holds the mirror to you, and when you gaze in it, you see something so very pleasing, so very beautiful, satisfying, when usually it's the opposite. For very, very many people, when the universe holds the mirror, they see something unpleasant and ugly, and it scares them and it shocks them. For you, it was the total opposite, where you were very surprised, almost delighted. But it wasn't as easy as this, because the reflection also had a different side, where the world, society, the times that we live in right now are truly infinitely ugly. So basically, you also confronted with the truth that, well, it doesn't matter as much that you're such a valuable person, that you're so very committed, and you truly want to make the world a better place by doing what you do, regardless of which way. But the world itself, especially, materially, professionally speaking, became like very unpermissive of valuable people to affirm themselves. So we are talking about unfair competition, loyalty, nepotism, aggressive advertising. So basically everything that is specific to the world of economy, trade, business, anything lucrative. Basically, for the person that you are, it's a total catastrophe. It is shocking, it is disappointing, it is almost beyond belief. And you find yourself in a situation where you can't be part of this, because being part of that, going with the flow, turning a blind eye and just working for the sheer sake of survival, well, that is something you cannot do. If you care about yourself, your dignity, your honor, then it is basically a bigger duty of yours to not support that, not be part of it, than just to turn a blind eye and make the compromise for the sheer sake of survival. You find yourself in a position where you just cannot play out your professional life or your life path, whatever that is, in a shape or form that society right now is permissive of, because that is not who you are. You just cannot dumb yourself down. You actually found your true faith. The wool has been pulled off over your eyes. You are living in your truth. You're living in your authenticity. You're actually respecting and loving yourself and seeing your true values. So there's no going back. Whatever job you quit or whatever you distance yourself from, that door is closed forever. And even though your situation is so very difficult right now, because either you're out of work, jobless, or you find it infinitely hard to make ends meet, you can also not go back. You cannot accept the compromise. You cannot support or encourage in any way, shape or form what the world has become right now. So this Nine of Swords reverse depicts a very delicate situation where you don't even know what to do anymore. Are you gonna be upset because you chose your true faith? Because you chose your truth and authenticity and not necessarily survival? Are you upset because you had to stand up for yourself and your beliefs? Are you kind of upset because you stood out for truth and not turn a blind eye to lies, deception, and all the unfairness in the world? This is where you're asking yourself, like the universe could not possibly support lies and deception, etc. As in the sense that of course it has to allow that because that is what everyone chooses, no problem with that. But it cannot condemn a fair person. It cannot condemn someone who actually does the right thing and chooses the truth to starvation or a bad fate, basically. That would simply not make any sense. And you're absolutely right, because look, there is that Nine of Cups which says everything, your whole situation. It is difficult right now. You might not be able to find work, or if you're freelance, you might not have money, you might not have business customers. People are not seeking you out, so to speak, despite the fact that you're the best of the best. Also, this Five of Wands, you really have to fight so very hard right now for your survival. And on top of that, this Nine of Swords reversed. You see the truth, you accept it, you are going with the flow as best as you can. But it's still very hard, it's still full of pain, and it's still desperation, basically. But this is where the universe truly has your back, because this negative situation won't last for much long. The universe didn't really turn a blind eye to your situation. It's definitely gonna help you by making one of your dreams come true, the Nine of Cups. Wish fulfilled. Success in something which has to do with your heart's desire. Even if that might not have absolutely anything to do with like work or what is actually causing the problem, your dream coming true is gonna end this chapter for you, either by giving you the material resources that will last you a long time and you won't have to worry about the world, you can just do your own thing, or it might send a person, maybe a family member, maybe someone from your distant past, or maybe someone totally new who will just solve all your problems one way or another. Or it will just simply align you with something, someone, it will create something specifically for you, which will really help you be able to live your life in decency, in your peace, in your terms, in comfort, and in perfect emotional security. This is what the cards have to say. The universe definitely is gonna have your back, and in a very direct, in a very straightforward manner, and it won't take too much longer now. So thank you so much for listening. I wish everyone a blessed and magical weekend. Bye for now. So this concludes today's pick a card reading. Thank you so much everyone for listening. I do hope that at least you found a small spark of inspiration in this reading. Again, I deeply apologize that it was unprofessional and that I'm also so very wishy-washy. I'm not gonna ask you to support my channel and donate because I know that this is not a kind of material which is worth anyone's sacrifice. So I would like to just thank you here. Until next time, bye for now.